I wasted 40 years of my life, and by the time I figured it out, there was no one left to share it with. I'm 70, and if you feel like something's wrong in your life right now, you're already running out of time. Because I felt that way at 30, and I told myself I'd deal with it later. Later never came. 1984. I was 30 years old, had a good job at an insurance company. Nice apartment in the city. People respected me. Everyone thought I had it all figured out. I was miserable every single day, but I told myself that's just how life is. Everyone feels this way. You work hard, you get ahead, then you're happy. That's what I believed. So I kept working, made more money, got the bigger house, got the promotions. The feeling never went away. My wife, Linda, would ask me what was wrong. I'd say nothing. I'm just tired from work, just stressed about money. But the truth was, I felt like I was living someone else's life, like I was playing a role I never auditioned for. And I thought if I just kept going, if I just kept pushing through, eventually it would feel right. It never did. The years passed, one after another. 30 became 40, 40 became 50, and I kept telling myself next year I'll figure it out. Next year I'll make a change. But I never did. 2006, I was 52. My father died. Heart attack, sudden. He was 73. At his funeral, my mother told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Your father always wanted to open a woodworking shop. That was his real dream, making furniture with his hands. But he kept putting it off, waiting for retirement, waiting for the right time. He died 6 months before he retired. I went to their garage to help clean it out. All his tools were there. Expensive equipment, table saw, bandsaw, sanders, some still in the box, price tags still attached. He'd been collecting them for years. Getting ready for someday never came. Standing in that garage, surrounded by my father's unused dreams, I realized something terrifying. I was doing the exact same thing. Working a stable job I didn't love. Putting off what I actually wanted. Waiting for later. Building a life that looked good on paper, but felt completely empty inside. My father died with his dreams still in the garage, and I was headed for the exact same ending. But even knowing that, even seeing what happened to him, I still didn't change. Because I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew what I didn't want. And that's not enough to move you. That's not enough to make you do something different. So I kept going, kept working, kept waiting. 8 more years disappeared, just like that. 2014. I was 60 years old. Linda asked for a divorce, 26 years of marriage. And she said, "I can't do this anymore. You're not really here. You show up every day, but you're not living. You're just going through the motions. I can't spend the rest of my life with someone who's already dead inside." She was right. I'd been dead inside for 30 years, going through the motions, doing what I was supposed to do, never actually living. After the divorce, I was 60 years old, living alone in a condo, still working the same job I'd had for 35 years, still feeling that same emptiness I'd felt since I was 30. And I finally asked myself the question I should have asked 40 years earlier. What do I actually want? Not what my parents wanted for me, not what society expected, not what looked impressive to other people. What did I actually want? I didn't have an answer. I'd spent so long ignoring that question, running from it, that I didn't even know myself anymore, so I started small. I asked myself, what did I used to love? Before I became this person, before I started living for everyone else's approval. Music. I used to play guitar, write songs. It made me happy. It made me feel alive. I'd stopped in my 30s, too busy for that kind of thing, too focused on important things like career and money and looking successful. At 60 years old, I bought a guitar. First time I'd held one in almost 30 years. Felt like an idiot. A 60-year-old man buying a guitar like some teenager. But I started playing again, just for myself. Not to be good at it, not to impress anyone, just because it felt right. And something happened. For the first time in decades, I felt like myself, like the person I used to be before I buried him under 30 years of doing what I was supposed to do. But I was already 60 years old, 40 years gone, 40 years I'll never get back. I started asking myself what else I'd given up. What else had I sacrificed to fit into this life I thought I was supposed to live? Travel. I'd always wanted to really travel. Not business trips to conference rooms. Just go somewhere and wander, see things, experience life while I still could. But I kept saying later, when I have more money, when I have more time, when I retire, always later. At 62, I finally stopped waiting. Took a month off work, went to Europe by myself, no plan, no schedule, no agenda. Just went. Best month of my life. And I realized something on that trip. Something I should have realized 40 years earlier. I'd been waiting for permission. Permission to do what I wanted. Permission to live differently. Permission to stop following the path everyone else was following. But nobody was going to give me that permission. I just had to take it. At 65, I retired early. Left money on the table. Walked away from the pension I could have had if I'd stayed 5 more years. People thought I was making a huge mistake, throwing away my future. I didn't care anymore. I moved to a small town, lower cost of living, bought a little house with a workshop in the back. Now I play music every day, build things with my hands, travel when I want to, spend my time doing what actually matters to me, not what looks good to other people. I'm happy, finally. At 70 years old, I'm finally happy. But I'm 70 years old. Most of my life is behind me now. And it took me 40 years to figure out how to live. 40 years of going through the motions while decades disappeared without warning. 40 years of waiting for someday while my life passed me by. Comfort didn't save me. It just kept me stuck. My father's in the ground with his dreams. Linda remarried someone who actually shows up, someone who's actually there. My kids grew up with a father who was never really present, never really knew them, never really let them know me, all because I was afraid. Afraid to ask myself what I wanted, afraid to live differently, afraid to stop playing it safe. And if you're watching this right now feeling like something's wrong in your life, you're already on the same path I was on. That feeling you're ignoring, that voice in the back of your head saying something isn't right, that's not going away. It's not stress. It's not tiredness. It's not just a phase. It's your life trying to tell you something. And every single day you ignore it, you're choosing the same ending I got. You can tell yourself you'll deal with it later, that you'll make changes next year, that you'll be happy once you achieve the next thing. Once you make more money, once you get the promotion, once the kids are grown, once you retire. But later never comes. The goalposts keep moving, and years pass without warning. One day, you're 30, feeling like something's wrong. Then you blink and you're 50. Then 60, then 70, and everyone you loved is gone. And all you have left is a pile of regrets and decades you'll never get back. I waited 40 years to start living my actual life. And now I'm sitting here at 70, trying to warn people like you not to make the same mistake. No one ever thinks they're already too late. But most of you won't listen. You'll keep waiting. Keep telling yourself you have time. Keep putting it off for later, until one day you don't have time anymore. This is your life, right now. Not next year, not someday, not when things are easier. Right now. And you're already running out of it. Make sure it was yours.